morning. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Monday night SPTV live stream here from the UK. I'm in London, and it's been a while. I haven't done a stream like this on my own for a while, and a lot has been going on. So I thought I would jump on and do a little bit of a recap on what on earth has been going on in the world of Apostate Alex over the last 2 weeks, and have a chat with you guys. This is a Q&A. Get your questions in. I will try and answer as many as I can, and just hang out with you guys for a bit. So for those of you new to the channel, I'm Apostate Alex. I used to be the director of public book sales at the Church of Scientology in London. I now speak out about my experiences, give other people a platform to do the same on my YouTube channel. I expose Scientology's UK and European activities through Scientologybusiness.com, which is kind of a news type website focusing on the lawsuits and all of the other stuff that's going on in the corporate world of Scientology. And I'm working on a few other things as well. So thank you for joining. Firstly, while you're here, give this video a like and check that you've got the bell switched on to get notifications when I go live, because a lot of people have been telling me that that's not been happening. And engagement is key. So please comment and share and all of that sort of stuff. Hello, Peace Dog. Hello, Mrs. J. We love Mrs. J. She's one of my great moderators. She's been around since the very beginning of my channel. So show Mrs. J some love for sure. From a poet, Brian, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Kerry Daughtry, what's up, SP? Can't wait to hear the news. Thank you for joining. And oh, here we go. PTS. Wait, hold on. Let me put on my clout goggles. There we go. Jeff, SPTV. Sorry, Jeff, PTS for life. Ugh, I can't get rid of this Alex guy. Hey, buddy, how are you doing? And he's got a great question here. How does one become as handsome as you? Well, thank you. I just try and look like you as much as I possibly can. Let me take this off. That was just a little joke, because the Church of Scientology say that I'm a clout chaser and that I'm an anti-religious bigot, and that I was only in Scientology for a couple of weeks, and that I'm just part of a hate group online. So I thought it'd be fun to use their words and get some clout goggles. LeBones Creations. Hey, Alex, Leah here from Washington State. Hello, Washington State. Thank you for joining. Hello to Arts and Courts and Mind Candy. Hello, Alex. Great to catch the live. Thank you so much. So, as I said, this is very much a Q&A, but I wanted to firstly just do a bit of recapping. I'm just looking, there's a question here I meant to start and I seem to have lost it. Okay, there was a question I saw about Chicago. If you posted the question about Chicago, please post it again, because I want to start it and bring that up. So yes, what a crazy couple of weeks. A lot of you have been watching my channel over the last weekend, when I held a protest at East Grinstead outside Scientology's UK headquarters, St. Hill Manor. Just a bit of recap for those of you who missed it, and I won't harp on about it too much, but essentially there was a gathering of the International Association of Scientologists, and it was publicized inside Scientology as the greatest gathering of Scientologists. So there was a lot riding on that event. And so I organized a protest, and we were outside for all 3 days last weekend and caused a little bit of a stir. And Jeff Beaumont, so PTS for life, who was in the chat earlier, he flew over all the way from Canada to take part in the protest. He stayed here with me, and now he is back. I thought it would be good to jump on, because we've been doing a lot of lives together, and I've kind of not been doing so much YouTube stuff because real world life stuff has been taking over. So I wanted to also talk about what was going on before the protest and afterwards from an organizing and planning perspective, because there was so much that I couldn't share with you guys publicly before the protest, and I can now talk about it all because the protest is in the past. So I thought it'd be quite fun to reflect. But overall, it was the largest anti-Scientology protest in the last 15 years here in the UK. It was the largest Scientology event in some time, and the first international event. So it was huge. And we had the Daily Mail there, lots of press attention. We had a Guardian article go out the week or two before to promote it, and that was picked up by a load of other different news organizations, and there was a lot of planning and thought that went into it, and I feel like we did a good job. I've had a lot of really positive feedback from you guys, from the community, from other SPTV creators, and I think it was just amazing to be able to do that and to have such a good turnout. You know, we had just under 50 people show up on the first day for the march. We had a smaller group on the Saturday and Sunday, sort of 15, 13 people, which is expected because the main big day was the Friday. Um, but overall, I was just really surprised at the number of people who have never been in Scientology that have been watching my channel and other people's channels and are kind of inspired to come and take part in the protest in person and show their support for this community. And that really blew me away. I didn't think people, you know, talking and watching stuff on YouTube and being in live chats is a very different thing to actually showing up and doing something in person in the real world, and standing out in the cold and dark and the wet country lanes of East Grinstead in Sussex. It's a different thing. So I totally thought that the turnout will be much smaller because, you know, it's a big deal to commit a day of your time to come and do this. And I was just so surprised that so many people feel so strongly about this that they came and joined us in person. And so firstly, to everyone that was there, thank you. And also, thank you to everyone that watched the streams, right? I streamed live all 3 days. The first day had like 1,500 consistent watchers concurrent at any one time. It was a really kind of well-watched video around, like, if you look at my YouTube channel, it's one of the best performing videos already, which just shows the support of people who couldn't be there internationally, who couldn't be there in person, who wanted to take part and, you know, take part in the live chat and the comments and support that way. It really does mean a lot to know that there's so many people in this community wanting to take part and help. So thank you for all of the support, and also financially as well. I was really blown away at the support people showed with Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal and that sort of thing, because there were a lot of costs incurred. You know, I had to get insurance, I had to get road closures, and there were certain other things I had to pay for, like the signage and all that. And that all costs money. And I was really surprised that so many of you contributed to help with the finances. So I wanted to acknowledge all you guys and say thank you for that, because it made the protest better and more impactful. I think, you know, one of the key things I was focusing on at the very beginning is the visual image of the protest, because, you know, I work in marketing outside of YouTube. So I know a lot about branding and like how to put on good events and all of this sort of stuff. And I kind of tried to apply that knowledge to this protest, and having like a uniform look with the signs with really key messages that were kind of bold and could be easily read and would resonate with people was really key. And so we got some big signs printed and professionally made. We had a big banner. And I think just that visual look made the protest so much more, or made it have a bigger impact, because when people were driving to St. Hill to attend the event, they saw these big yellow and black signs with messages that are trying to resonate with people currently in, saying, look, there's a community of people here to support you if you choose to leave. We didn't want to hurl abuse at people. We didn't want to, you know, criticize people or say you're in a cult or whatever. We wanted to show that compassion. And I think that really came through. So thank you for everyone that supported with that. And I can assure you, I'm only just getting started. This is the beginning of a very long process for me of speaking out and doing this. And next year will be bigger and better. And I can't wait to share the plans with you for that. But in terms of organization, I wanted to give you a bit of rundown of what the weeks leading up to the protest was like for me, because in the UK, anyone can organize a protest at any time. Like, you don't have to seek for a permit or ask for permission. You can just rock up on public land and protest. However, I wanted to do a march. I wanted to start in the center of town and march along the road down to St. Hill. And for that, you do have to have permission. And so I applied to the council and the police for permission to do the march. And that was a lot of back and forth. to make sure the prime concern is safety. If we're marching in a road, there's going to be cars. So I applied for a road closure as well. And that's a whole story we'll get into in a second. But essentially, it was a lot of back and forth and meetings and risk assessments and plans and that sort of thing. I launched a website, iasprotest.com, where I had a form where people could register to say they want to attend. And it asked certain questions like, were you ever in Scientology? Or, where are you traveling from? Are you traveling by public transport or car? And that form was not compulsory. It was to, if you wanted to, you could fill it out. And that gave me an idea of numbers, because when the police got back to me about the protest and the road closures and the march, I knew they were going to ask these questions, and they asked things like, how many people are you expecting? What sort of people, like what sort of crowd is it going to be? Is it going to be potentially violent and all this sort of stuff? And so having that data from the form and saying, we're expecting this many people, and 80% of them are not former Scientologists. So then they don't have an axe to grind. They don't want to kind of, take the church down in like an aggressive kind of emotional way because they've been involved. They just want to show their support, and it's a message of compassion because this many people have said they've never been in Scientology, and how are they going to get to the event? And I was like, well, we didn't done the form, and this number of people are going to be driving, this many people are getting public transport, and then I had to make arrangements with the police to assure them I've considered the routes for people to get there and back safely, so that we don't have people walking down dark country lanes and so on. So that's why the form was there, and I couldn't reveal all of that to begin with, because that opens up to what's it called? It opens the whole thing up to infiltration by Scientology, because if that information or data was false, then that would paint a very different picture for the police with the plans and so on. So it's kind of important that it was fairly accurate, and that was really good. And I just wanted to explain that. The police overall were very supportive, and they were really happy to have us protest and do it peacefully and so on. There was a lot of back and forth around where exactly we were going to be. Initially, Scientology wanted to place us up the road in like a pen that you could see the gates from, but wasn't in front of the property at all. And they were trying to claim, it's not safe for protesters to be on the verge outside the gates and blah, blah, blah. And so the police wanted us to be there. So there's a lot of negotiation around where we actually wanted to be and where we would end up. And it kind of, a lot of it boiled down to on the day, kind of showing them, this is where we're going to be and how safe it is. I had to get insurance in case anyone, hurt themselves or whatever, and had to have plans in place with a medic and a security guard and high-vis jackets and lighting to make sure people could be seen at nighttime. And there was also a lot of liaison with the local sports clubs and so on. There's a rugby club directly opposite St. Hill. And this is actually a bit of a story here that I think you guys would be fascinated in. The rugby club, I asked them if we could use their car park, because a lot of people were driving, and it's not easily accessible, St. Hill. And the rugby club initially said, yes, no problem. We have to have a good relationship with Scientology because they're our neighbors, but we are a community club. We are open to all. So yes, you can go ahead and use the car park because we want to be open to everybody. And so I thought that was great. And then we showed up on the Saturday, and the security guard on the gate said, no, you can't come in here. The owner has said that the protesters can't park here. Now, it turns out that that security guard was actually working for Scientology, and the rugby club, I was told, was meant to be closed that day. And my contact at the rugby club said, oh, I thought the car park would be closed today because, we didn't know that was going on. So I'm investigating that to see whether Scientology just took over the car park or whether they had an agreement in place. But regardless, we were turned away. And so when I spoke to the rugby club contact I had early in the morning on Sunday, I said, hey, we had this trouble yesterday. I just want to make sure that, that agreement is still in place. And he said, yeah, go ahead. And we managed to park there on the Sunday. But since then, I've had a debrief. I've been spending the last couple of days debriefing with the council and the police and everyone involved to see what went well, what didn't happen so well, what we could improve on next time. And the rugby club have come back and said that allowing protesters to park in their car park has created a really difficult problem for their relationship with the Church of Scientology. And so for that reason, we cannot use their car park next year. And of course, it's a private property. They can rightfully decide who they do and don't want on the property. But I think it's an interesting shift from we're open to everybody to no, we're being paid off by Scientology and we're going to do whatever they say. So I'm going to be writing an article on it soon. I think it's fascinating. There's also been a lot of back and forth with road closure. So I applied to the council for the road to be closed. The main reason being the safety of the protesters. I didn't want cars going down the road at 60 miles an hour right next to us standing on the side of the road. It was a dangerous situation. So I applied to close the road to protect us. And obviously, St. Hill and all the other properties on the road have a right of access. So we weren't going to stop people going to the event or anything, but we wanted to escort them. We were going to have a roadblock on either side and we were going to walk them up and escort them onto the property so that they were driving at a slow pace so that it's no risk to the protesters. And that was initially approved and it was all going ahead. And then the day before, I got notification that it was cancelled. And so that for me was like, wait, hold on, because I wasn't informed that the road closure was cancelled. I saw a tweet that someone said it's been cancelled. So I phoned them up and they said that the police phoned up the council and they're the only ones with the powers to cancel a road closure, and they cancelled it because of safety concerns. I then called the Inspector General of the Sussex Police and said what was going on, and they confirmed they did not request for the road closure to be cancelled, and they in fact wanted the road closure to go ahead for the safety of the protesters. So then the council reinstated the road closure. However, that happened on the morning of the Friday, which at that point it was too late to get the roadblock all in place that we wanted to. So what we ended up doing is having a police escort from the end of the road with a car, like a van behind us, blue flashing lights, driving behind us to protect us and make sure that we can walk in the road. Because again, a visual impact down to where we wanted to be. And the same again after the event. So all of that was going on. And at the same time, we had the protest going on at the same time. So on the Sunday, I saw down the end of one end of the property, not near where we were standing most of the time, they were opening a new building. Now, the Qual building, Qualifications, is kind of the staff training center for Scientologists that are working at St. Hill and the Sea Org. And I saw the big ribbons. And I was like, oh my God, they're opening this building. That was finished and actually opened in 2019, 4 years ago, but they hadn't had an opening event. And so I went down there. I was like, we need to protest this, because we were like 100 feet away from all these public, outside they could hear us. And it was a major flap for Scientology. And I have since found out through an inside source that David Miscavige, who is the leader of Scientology at the moment, did actually intend to open the Qual building. And he didn't. At the last minute, Erin Banks, who is a spokesperson who's appeared in a few videos and stuff for the church, she's the one that did the opening of the Qual building. And apparently he chickened out at the last minute because of the protesters being heard and us making quite a big scene. And so I think that just goes to show that we managed to impact the Scientology event and make our voices heard. And they definitely knew we were there and that we wanted their horrendous activities and so on to stop. So that message of compassion carried through, and it was definitely a major flap for Scientology. I wanted to show some videos with you as well, but before I do that, I'm going to go through some of these super chats. So thank you so much to everyone who's done that so far. Evelyn Woodward, thank you for the super chat. So glad to catch live. Keep up the good work. Thank you and welcome. Mark the Dorset SP, keep up the good work, Alex. Loving the aftermath from the IES and the videos of Jeff. Here's to the next protest. Thank you so much for the super chat. And yeah, absolutely. The planning starts now for sure. Wonder Woman, thank you for the super chat. Your protest was awesome. Alex, great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad the message was received by everyone taking part and everyone there. Amy Scobie's in the chat. Hey, Amy, how you doing? Just driving, will replay it 2 times. I hope you're well. Amy has been a huge supporter of mine and the protests and the channel, and she deserves a massive pat on the back from everyone in the community because she's done so much for so long to take down this cult, and she's been really supportive. So thank you, Amy, and everyone should go check out her channel if you haven't already. Okay, so when I was live streaming on the Friday, we had a few issues technically. Turns out I had great signal and great connection the whole time, and I was actually on the same network as Jeff, PTS for Life. But for some reason, my stream was really glitchy and like didn't connect very well. And I found out that it was because I was using StreamYard, which apparently doesn't work so well on a mobile phone. Jeff was streaming directly through YouTube, which meant the stream was much smoother. And so I now know for next time to do that and not use StreamYard. But I was a bit disappointed that happened, but that's why that was going on. But when I finished streaming on the Friday, because it was starting to get dark and I thought you guys wouldn't be able to see much, I was like, let's call the stream a day. We're still going to be here for a couple of hours. That's actually when things started to get really exciting outside St. Hill. And so I got my camera out and I started recording the whole thing. And I wanted to share some of those things with you. So the first video, if I can bring it up here, was the reaction that some of the Scientologists were giving us. When we were there. Let me open this up. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear the audio, but tell me if you can hear the audio in this. I don't know if you can hear the audio. No audio. Okay, fine. It doesn't really matter on this one. This is just showing. Let me just talk through it while I'm playing it. So this is just showing that every single person pretty much that had to go to the event had to walk past us and our protest. And so this is just demonstrating the reaction we got from some of the locals after it got dark and the number of people that we saw. So that's that one. I'm just trying to figure out the audio. Why can I not do the audio? Share. Maybe I have to open it in a tab. Share audio, share tab instead. I don't think that's going to work. Bear with me, guys. That's that one. Video file. Let me try uploading it instead. If I can upload it, that would work really well. And then I can just play it that way. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Okay, I'm just uploading. Oh, great. This should work. Tell me if you can hear this. Hi, Janet. I think you can hear that. I think it should be working. So this video is Janet Laveau. Janet Laveau is the current head of Scientology in the UK on paper. She's the managing director of the Church of Scientology Religious Education College Incorporated, which is a business that Scientology operate through here in the UK. I have met Janet previously when I was in the church because she used to come up to London all the time because they were applying for religious status and all that sort of stuff. Well, permission to perform weddings at London Org. So she was back and forth. She works in OSA. She was the CO OSA, I believe, which means basically the commanding officer, the person in charge. And she was there at the gates and she was really not happy to see us. And I later found out through one of the security guards that he actually asked Janet to leave and take a minute because she was getting so irate and so annoyed at the protest because David Miscavige was on the phone to her and yelling at her saying, you need to shut this protest down. And she was obviously getting angry because he was getting angry. And so this is a video just to show you a few interactions with her. Where are we? Here we go. So this is Janet there with the blonde hair and the blue coat. And we were just trying to say we like Janet. She's, how are you? Message of compassion.
Janet. Hi, Janet. Janet. If communication is a universal solvent, why don't you come and communicate with me?
I'm open to talk.
Grey Zero, can't confront.
Confront and shatter me, please.
I need to be shattered.
You can hear Jeff in the background and Stephen Jones as well.
Janet, I'm from Vancouver. You know my dad, Brian Beaumont. Janet. She must be hard of hearing.
To me, you have to shout louder.
Wait, 50-foot CRs.
We love you, Janet.
Janet.
What I find highly interesting about all of this, you can see the traffic as well and how bad it was.
If Scientology is expanding, why is the UK church $100 million in debt to the US church, Janet? Why do you have to borrow money to stay afloat?
Janet.
There we go.
Hello.
Have a good evening tonight.
We love you.
Hide your money from the Reggies.
So I think you can see there the kind of messaging that we were trying to send. People waiting in the cars, windows wound down, like, look, we love you. Keep your credit card safe, you know. And I think people were listening. But Janet Laveau showed clearly issues on what's called grade 0 in Scientology, because grade 0 is a step on the bridge. And the idea is that you can communicate with anybody on any subject. And she was just completely ignoring us as much as she could until obviously she got told to leave by security. But I just thought that was quite interesting to show you guys, and you'd be interested in that. And this one here, which is the next one I'm just loading up, traffic was a huge problem on the day. And this is something that the police were really concerned about. Now, I applied for the road closure. It ended up not happening in the way that we wanted to. But we kind of wanted to make sure traffic was moving slowly. And it did, because there was a massive traffic management problem. People going on and off the property were held up in big, long queues. There was massive issues in terms of people leaving and entering the property. And the police said to me afterwards that one of the biggest concerns for them was not the protest, but it was Scientology's traffic management. And the locals that we spoke to were also really annoyed at how backed up the traffic was, because it was the whole length of the road. At the end of the road, it turned left on Turner's Hill Road, like the worst traffic I've ever seen at an IS event. It must have taken 45 minutes to an hour to get onto the property. And that was causing major issues for the local rugby club, for the sports club, and for local residents. And they were really angry. So I wanted to show this just to give you a visual on the sort of traffic that happened
has to stop.
we stopped streaming. So this is mostly people going to the event.
Pep, cheerio. Pep, cheerio. The abuse has to stop.
And you can see here, look, all of these people.
Time outside here, guys.
Your children! They traffic children!
So all of these people had to walk past us because they ran out of parking space on the property. So they had to go and park in the rugby club and walk up the hill right past us. It was a major flap, but it meant that I would estimate maybe 80% of the people who attended the event walked past us and had an interaction with us, which I just thought was a great outcome. There were also some funny things here. So if I find that video again, there was a moment where my auditor actually showed up. So it's this Janet video. Here you go. So my auditor, who works at London Org, and her husband, I believe, who was the course supervisor, I knew them very, very well, and I saw them when I walked past, and I thought it was hilarious. So this is that.
They don't speak English.
All right, Glenn. All right, Anna. How are you doing? Long time no see.
Good evening. Enjoy the event.
I miss you so much. Say hello to Craig for me and Scott.
Enjoy the event.
That was my
Have a
auditor.
good evening, guys. Thank you.
There we go. So that was my auditor showing up. It was just wild to see all these people. I haven't seen most of these people in years since I was last in Scientology. And so it was just wild to see them. One thing I will never forget is when the London Org bus arrived. So they had coaches filled with Scientologists going from all the different orgs and shipping them on and off the property. And the coach arrived with London staff and public. And I remember it pulling up. And I looked in and I saw two staff members. One was my direct senior when I was in Scientology, and another was one of the course supervisors. They were at the front of the coach and they saw me, and I will never forget their faces dropping when they realized it's me, but now on the other side. So it was just fascinating to have that kind of contact with them. And then the last video I want to show is the march back, because all of this traffic was going on. And where's the one that I want to show? Is it this one? Bear with me. Sorry, I did have all these lined up, but then 294, but then it didn't work with the sound. 294, this one. So obviously the traffic was really backed up and everyone was struggling to get onto the property. And we were like, look, let's go to the pub. You know, we've been standing out in the cold and the dark all night and all day. And so let's go and wrap things up. So while the traffic was there, people were trying to get onto the property, the police gave us an escort back up the road. And I wish I'd had this on stream, but I caught it on camera, just to give you an idea of how the police, even though there was traffic, they cleared the road for us, which would have backed up traffic even more, and allowed us to march peacefully past St. Hill and up to the end of the road. So this is our march back afterwards, and you can see us walking right past the gates of St. Hill.
Cheerio!
Scientology's got to go!
Pip, pip, cheerio!
Scientology's got to go!
Pip, pip, cheerio!
Scientology's got to go!
Pip, pip, cheerio! Pip, pip, cheerio!
Scientology's got to go!
Pip, pip, cheerio!
Scientology's got to go!
Pip, pip, cheerio!
Scientology's got to go!
So you can see here.
Has to stop!
The abuse has to stop!
The abuse has to stop!
The abuse has to stop!
Pip, pip, cheerio!
So you can see here, we're walking right past the gates, and they've paused all access to the property for us
Pip,
to
cheerio!
walk right past. And I just think it was a great sign of
The
support and
abuse
visually
has to stop!
really impactful, because look, every single person here walking past us, everyone in the cars, everyone at the gates saw us, and they couldn't miss us. Look at how many of us there are. They've closed the road for us. And this is what went down after the stream. And I just wanted to show that with you. Look, there's even Scientologists there filming us. They're like, what on earth is going on? And for me, it's just, wow, this is the moment for me to show just what a statement we made. Because historically, there's only been protests on the Friday, and there's been 10 people or so. So the fact that we had so many and we actually walked down the road was huge. So that is the update on the videos, guys. Thank you so much. Let's go through some of these questions. If you want to ask me questions, please get them in. I'm trying not to overrun with the stream that's happening in about 15 minutes with Mike Rinder and Mark and Claire, I believe. So we'll do a couple of questions to get them in, and I will update you very briefly on what I'm going to do next as well. So Donna Rose, thank you so much for the super chat. What could COS do if the club allows you access? See, this is the thing. Scientology don't have any say in what goes on at the rugby club. It's a different business. It's separate and so on. But the rugby club do have to have a good relationship with Scientology because they're their neighbors. So if the club said yes, Scientology couldn't really do much other than what they did on the Saturday, which is just have security guards preventing us from entering their property. But they just, I think the rugby club don't want to annoy Scientology too much because they're just over the road, which is completely understandable. But Scientology couldn't really do much if they said, yes, we can do it next year, other than just make things difficult for the rugby club going forward. Creepy B, do Linda's question, please. I will try and find it. Linda. Linda, can you ask the question? Oh, here we go. Is it this one? Linda Indrisi. Question: did Scientology tell its members to expect protesters? Is that the question? I think that's the one that you wanted me to ask. No, probably not. I mean, they wouldn't. There's a big thing in Scientology of information control. Don't spread bad news, N theta it's called. So no, they absolutely wouldn't have put out announcements saying expect protesters. I think there's always been a protest outside the IS event, but not on this scale. So they definitely would just naturally expect it anyway. However, no, they wouldn't have said, watch out. They would have kind of afterwards talked about it, I'm sure, but not in an official capacity. So thank you for the question. Free Xenia Project, where can I find some clout to chase? Can I use my chuck? I hate running. Very funny. Love Sherlock. Not really, but I thought you'd like to know that I got an invite for Finger and a movie at my local COS org to watch the fantastic video DM in the IS event on the 18th. I recorded the voicemail. Wow, dude, please share that with me if you'd like to. hello@apostate Alex is my email address. I'd be really interested to hear that and see it. I do know that there are events at the local orgs where they broadcast the video of the IS event. Is happening next Saturday. So yeah, do share that with me if you want to. And guys, while you're watching this, please press the like button. Don't forget. And comment and all of that. PTS for life. Hi, Jeff. Great question. How does it feel confronting your abuser face to face? Was it as you had expected? This is probably a whole video in and of itself. I mean, this was the first time I had come face to face with the Scientology church that I used to be a part of. And it was a big release for me, I think, to be able to shout whatever I wanted to shout, to speak to them, and especially on the Sunday when we had a big conflict, which again I'll do another video on. But they were really aggressive, OSA were, on Sunday, and they were trying to push us into the road and try to disrupt us and so on. And it was the first time I was kind of a victim of that really harsh treatment physically. And so it was a huge release, but also I'm still kind of processing it. So I'll definitely keep you updated on how once I've thought about it more. I'm doing a video with Chris Shelton on Wednesday, I think it is, where we're going to be talking about how my mind has changed over the last year, because we're coming up to a year since I first spoke out on Chris's channel. Got to remember, I'm very new to this, right? I only started exploring this in my brain a year and a half ago. And it was a year ago that I first spoke to Chris Shelton on his channel and told my story. It was 8 months ago I started this channel myself. So we're going to be doing like a year recap on what's changed and my thinking, and like looking at how I've grown as a person over the last year. So go and check that out on Wednesday. I think it'll be exciting. And we'll, of course, be talking about the protest and kind of face to face with them as well. Free Xenia Project question: did you see Tom Cruise exit his chopper, or did he run like a little girl and hide? So we left the property before the end of the event because we knew the event was going to be an hour or so late, which it was. And we knew that if the event would go on for 2 or 3 hours, so we'd kind of be there till 11 or midnight or something. So we thought we'd leave as the event was starting, which we did. So no, we didn't see him leave, but we did see him fly in on the Sunday. So he definitely didn't stay there overnight. He must have stayed at his house in Biggin Hill, I'm sure. Kay, hello, thank you for the super chat. That's very kind of you. Kay's awesome. For those of you who don't know her, she is one of the best people I know in this community. Quirkalopagus, great name. Alex, you did an amazing job with all the planning. Thank you. And that brings me on to what's next. So next year we will be back and we will be bigger. The planning starts now, and I will keep you guys up to date as those plans progress. But I'm organizing lots of activity over the next year between now and then. So keep an eye on my channel about all that sort of stuff, because I want to really encourage people to get involved in any way they can. And that's a physical in-person protest, but there's lots of people who lived all over the country that couldn't be there and travel down. So I'm trying to figure out ways we can engage those people and really make an impact. So we're starting with the debrief, talking to all the stakeholders involved and figuring out the feedback, and then plan for the next one. In the meantime, I'm working on all of the legal stuff and the investigation of Freedom of Information Act requests and that sort of thing, because Scientology definitely broke the rules. There's a path just outside the property, which is a public right of way, and Scientology put potted plants on that walkway, with the idea of meaning that we as protesters couldn't stand really close to the gates. Now, they aren't allowed to block public property, public right of way. So we reported it and all of that at the time, but there's going to be more work on it in the coming weeks to figure out, has that been reported? If not, should we report it again? And what can we do to prevent that happening next year? I'm also hoping to gain some information about Scientology's relationship with the council and the police, because they had lots of going-ons and conversations and stuff in the background, as well as me, with the same people. And so I'd be really interesting to see through the Freedom of Information Act request what was going on behind the scenes and what they were trying to do to stop us from protesting, because they were certainly trying their very best, but they weren't expecting it. That's what I find most mind-blowing. They announced the event 4 weeks before it happened. They hired their security. They hired a private security firm to work the event 3 weeks before the event happened. It was very last minute and very, very rushed. And so as soon as I heard about the event, I announced the protest. I created a website. And so our plans were public knowledge from the get-go. And yet they were not expecting us to be there in that number and that frequently on the Saturday and the Sunday as well. So I just find it mad that they aren't on top of it, and they should have known everything that we were doing, but they didn't. Also, just to note, 25th of November, which is next Saturday, Scientology, St. Hill Manor, are having the Christmas light switch on. Now, every year they put loads of lights up around the property and they have a Santa's grotto and a bit of an event. It's meant to be a community event for the people of East Grinstead to be able to go and attend and see the turning on of the lovely lights. And the lights are actually turned on by East Grinstead Mayor. And there's a whole nother video in there about how the mayor and the council are really involved in Scientology, so bear with me on that one. But 25th of November, they are holding another event, and the goal is to invite the community, not just Scientologists. And I'm not exactly announcing a protest, but it is something that I'm looking at. So if any of you are interested in showing up on that day and want to have a little demonstration and make our voices heard, please email me hello@apostatealex.com. And if we can get enough people together and make it work, we'll be there again on the 25th of November, because I think it's really important for the mayor and the community to realize what Scientology are actually doing and how David Miscavige is a named defendant in a number of lawsuits alleging human trafficking and harassment, intimidation, and he has the balls to come to the UK, raise a bunch of money for the IAS, and then fly back. A lot of locals aren't happy with that. And I think a lot of people like the council and the mayor may not be aware that that's going on. So by showing the public sign of protest, I think that sends a message that they're not welcome in this country or in East Grinstead. So if you're interested in attending, let me know. I'm not announcing it as a plan. It's not definitely happening just yet, but just let me know if you're interested. And if we can get the people together, we absolutely will. Go and do that. Rosalind C, goal for next protest, more protesters than attendees. Yeah, I mean, look, that won't be hard. They claimed they were expecting 6,000 people to show up, which is frankly impossible because the capacity of the tent is less than 6,000. And we saw everyone going into the property, and I estimated 1,500 or something like that, maybe 2,000. And now we've done a bit of work looking at all the pictures. I really do think it was more like 1,000 or 1,500. But that's another thing I'm working on over the next few days, is kind of looking at the evidence and seeing how many people actually were there. Now, they haven't announced a press release or put the video up or anything like that on the Scientology website yet, and they surely will. They always do. But the event is usually the Saturday after. They normally have this local event where they show the video to everyone the week after. For some reason, it's happening 2 weeks after, next Saturday. So I would imagine we'll see some official photos and stuff from the event come through after that happens next week. So stay tuned for that. And Katura Stanley, were the locals encouraging you? Yes. So much support. A lot of locals came and spoke to me and said, we've been watching your channel. Thank you so much for standing up for us and saying you're not welcome in this town. They have to be very careful because you don't want to annoy your neighbors too much, especially if they have a record of making your life a living hell. So they're kind of cautious of, like, they don't want to be necessarily there at the protests themselves because they don't want to be fair gamed. So a lot of locals were saying to me, thank you for doing this and standing up for us because we can't, and you are being our voice. And that was really nice to hear that support. And I think there's some plans in place to engage a bit more of the local community that I'll share with you very soon. Rocked Up Rehab, hey mate, how you doing? This is a friend of mine. He's a really good guy. So the aim is to get more protesters and people attending. That would be hilarious, but I don't think it's going to be possible. Let's be honest. 1,000 people, 1,500 people are not going to fit on St. Hill Road to protest. But if it does happen, we'll figure it out. That would be amazing, but highly unlikely. But it's a nice dream. Amy Scobie, go Power Thetans. Thank you so much again for your support. Guys, this has been great. Just to tease a little bit for the next few days, I'm working on these investigations. I've got the pictures from inside the event. I've done some analysis to try and figure out how many seats there were. I've also had a lot of intel from inside Scientology. I've been blown away at how many currently in Scientologists under the radar have contacted me with information and stories from inside the event and other things that have been going on. And I can't wait to share some of that with you guys. There's some interesting information about ideal orgs, about expansion, about what David Miscavige said at the event, and also this trip to Sunderland org that Jeff and I went on the other day. There's a video on that on my channel if you want to go and see it. But for now, if you guys want to see anything in particular or have any questions I missed or whatever, stick them in the comments, email me, hello@apostatealex, and I'll try and get through to you with an answer, or I'll include it in my next video if I can. And yeah, I'm now back onto a normal schedule. Jeff is back in Canada, so I've got my normal routine back. So you'll be seeing more of me in the coming days. I'll be doing more and more live streams and be doing some more interviews too. I love speaking to people about their experiences in different cults, coercive groups, and Scientology and so on. So stay tuned for that. If you guys want to support the channel, buy me a coffee. There's a link in the description, or PayPal. YouTube take a 30% cut of all of the super chat money. So if you want to support the channel, the best way of doing it is buy me a coffee and PayPal. But most importantly, like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, because that's what pushes the video out to more people and gets more this message to more people. You know, we want to help people here. We want to support people and allow Scientologists to know there's a community of people here that are ready to support and help you if you choose to leave. And so the more people that share this content and all the content on SPTV and all the other creators, the more likelihood it is to reach a Scientologist. And all we want is one person to watch a video and say, I'm done. That's it. And that will make it so much more worth it. Guys, thank you so much. Going ahead to Mike Grinder, and I think Claire and Mark, Blown for Good, they're going live in 2 minutes. Go and show them support. I'll be in the live chat. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you on the next one.